Right. What's up, YouTube people?
What's up?
Thanks so much for joining us. We are Two Guys Take on Real Estate. I'm the Property Prince.
And I'm the Flippin' Landlord Ninja.
And we really wanted to welcome you to our channel. And for those of you that are watching this on a rebroadcast of it, thanks so much for tuning in and checking us out.
Exactly. So today we want to take some time to go over a case study of a wholesale deal of a two-family that we just acquired Friday.
Oh, man, we crushed it. I am so happy about this one. And I love the opportunity we have to share our experiences with everybody out there and all the various cameras we've got going on.
So what we want to do is, first off, how we found it, how we actually purchased it, and then what we're going to do with it. I mean, I think that's kind of a full walkthrough.
I think so. I mean, there's a lot to get through. We're really excited to be able to share our experience with you guys. We did not grow up knowing this stuff. We had no idea how this stuff was gonna work. We jumped into real estate. We made every mistake you could possibly make.
I came from a background with a father that owned a restaurant. So
yeah, my dad.
Nothing to do with real estate.
Postal service, and I grew up getting free lunches in high school and middle school and stuff.
I get beat up too, right?
No, I never got beat up. Oh, man, come on, wow. My nose always looked like this. This is just how it came out. But but thanks, though. I appreciate that. But we jumped in. We tried to change our futures, and we learned real estate the hard way.
Oh, yeah.
And we put this channel together so that you guys can learn from us without having to go through all the stress and headaches that we did.
Exactly.
It's what made Matt lose his hair.
Well, yeah, pretty much. I had a full head of hair down to here 12 years ago when we started this, and then this guy pretty much made me lose it all.
Yeah, well, I think I think all of our viewers could agree that I probably caused your hair loss. I'll take it. All right, so for those of you who are still on TikTok and on Instagram, you can find us at Two Guys Take on Real Estate on YouTube, and we'll be reading from the chat over there for questions and everything like that.
Exactly. So if you have a question, please jump over to YouTube, and we'll get ready, and let's just kind of run into it.
I agree. Let's jump in, and let's talk about how we scored this amazing deal right here.
So this is a two-family in Chicopee, Massachusetts. And we have actually one of our guys right down over here, Sean, and he actually is one of our runners looking around for deals for us.
Yeah, he's actually a follower on our social media feed that found us.
Oh, this is a good point, yeah.
He actually found us because we live streamed some foreclosure auctions that we were at. He found us, he tracked us down, and now he's working with us.
Exactly. And so what Sean does is he actually goes around looking for all these deals and trying to find and negotiate something that we can actually buy. So this one specifically is what we call a tired landlord list. And I think right now especially, this is an opportunity in many different areas. Yeah. And I'll let Kevin kind of talk a little bit more about what that list is and how we kind of...
Well, it is what it sounds like. We're approaching people we believe might be tired of being landlords. They might own rental property. Probably they only own a couple of rental properties. They're not a big company. They're a private individual or a mom and pop type of operation. They own some rental property, and we believe they might be tired of being a landlord because maybe they're getting a little bit older. They want to retire somewhere nice and warm and tropical or something. Maybe somewhere nice in Florida is pretty attractive these days.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to Florida.
Yeah, especially from here and now California, I guess, too. But or maybe there's somebody that we've identified has a lot of different court activity going on with some of their tenants. They're just sick of all the games tenants might be playing with them. They have non-payment of rent issues. Maybe they can't afford to keep the house going because their tenants aren't paying for everything or anything. And, a landlord still has the obligation to keep the property up to code while the tenants are still just living in their property, taking their services and not paying for them.
Exactly. And so a lot of this information nowadays is actually online.
Bingo.
So for instance, in Massachusetts, the masscourts.org, you can actually research counties and stuff like that and search certain types of notices. So for instance, this is called a summary process case, and you can look if it's for cause or for non-payment and stuff like that. And you can kind of start drilling down and find those cases where people are having problems with their tenants and a little bit more. And sometimes you actually get PDFs of description of the case files too, which is really good.
Different court systems are going to have more stuff online and available, but at the very least, you should be able to see the flow of a court case. And if it's a case where the landlord has no other choice but to take a tenant to court for eviction, that's the best case scenario for them, is they get the non-paying person out of their property. They might be at their wit's end with this property. They may not be able to make their payments. Maybe they're going to lose the house to foreclosure. Who knows? So they're a great person to approach and talk about their situation.
And see if you can figure out a win-win situation, which we'll get into a little bit more.
That's great, because I see a question on our YouTube channel, which is where we're broadcasting and taking questions from Josh, who brought up a great question saying, when buying a reno, I'm thinking a real estate. Sorry, there it goes. Do you just completely lowball? So no, we don't just completely lowball, but yes, we are looking to buy something that's opportunistic and that has the ability to value add.
Exactly. We're always looking for opportunities, but we're also trying to look for some situation where we can actually help the homeowner and as well as ourselves. So there obviously has to be a win-win situation, because if it's all on one side, someone's going to leave unhappy, and it's just not often going to work. So you want to find situations where you can both walk away at least reasonably happy.
I absolutely agree. And the amount of people I hear, you hear it all the time too. You can't buy a house right now. Wait for a crash. Don't buy anything. I'm saving. I'm holding. I'm waiting. You can't do anything anymore. It's not fair. Yep. That's just not true, right? We just bought this one.
No, I mean, I was just took someone out to lunch the other day, and they wanted to ask me a bunch of questions about, and one of their questions was, well, is it a good time to buy now? Well, guess what? If the deal is right, like this, then heck yeah. Whenever it's all about the numbers, and if you find a good deal, it's the right time to buy. Is it harder to find a deal? Yeah, I would say it's definitely harder than, 2-3 years ago, when we were finding like 10, 20 a month.
Got to get a little bit more creative and a little bit more diligent in terms of the way you're attacking these things.
Yep.
Sure. But we're not just completely lowballing. We are finding ways to do these things where we treat everybody fairly. I mean, nobody's forcing these folks to sell. I mean, aside from maybe the tenants.
What's that bad that we have?
The government. Yeah, right. So let's talk a little bit more about this. And I see some people commenting more also on YouTube. The TikTok live is frozen for me. I can see everything working over there on our end.
All
so
right.
It seems like it's doing okay. Maybe reboot, but obviously, YouTube live is the place to be because we are taking questions.
Do you need to be over 18 to be an assistant for a real estate agent? It's a little off topic. We can quickly answer that.
Assistant to a real estate agent or assistant real estate agent?
Okay there, Michael. All right, if anyone gets that Office reference.
No. I'm full of them.
He's full of something. So yeah, you do not need to be 18 to become an assistant to a real estate agent. You generally, as long as you're, I believe 16 is legal age to work. So
probably varies state by state to an extent.
Of course.
A lot of states have kids that are a little bit younger even working, but you don't even need to be a real estate agent in the most part and almost anywhere in the country to do the kind of things that we're doing and talking about right here.
Exactly.
So if you're looking to get involved in real estate, the only way to get involved isn't by being a real estate agent. There's so many things you can do.
Yep. So, and then they're just asking, would an assistant be a realtor way? So that's kind of
the way to get into the industry.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, sure, absolutely. That wholesaling property is kind of similar to what we are doing in this kind of scenario here. This could be used as a wholesale deal all day long.
Yep. So let's talk. So we want to talk over numbers.
How did we pull this thing off?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. Well, if you want to jump into starting it off.
So as we talked about, we actually found this through the tired landlord list. So we found out that they were having issues with the tenants of non-payment.
Shocker.
And not only that, there was an issue with code enforcement. So they were also having basically, and we'll get into the pictures later on, but there was a roof leak. There was some issues with, cockroaches and some mold and some other things in the property that they were really having a hard time. Now, it wasn't all on the landlord. It was also the fact that the tenant wasn't really trying to help make the repairs. You got to work together.
There's a number of, it doesn't really matter how the situation came to be so much. I mean, you can go back and forth and suggest that, it probably, the landlord couldn't make repairs because the tenants hadn't paid for over a year.
Right.
So, I mean, you can go back and forth and assess where the blame lies. Bottom line is there was a non-payment case filed because the tenant hadn't paid in over a year.
And then I believe they brought counterclaims against that, which then opened up a code enforcement case.
Well, they opened up a code
enforcement case. Opened a court. Yeah, exactly. And so now this poor landlord is basically sitting with, I think, 12 months?
Oh, more than that.
Non-payment. So, I mean, even if they owned it outright, which they actually did, they actually didn't owe any mortgage on this because you can also find that in your registry of deeds. So we found out that this had no mortgage on it. But still, even then, they have general bills and just the headache of dealing with this non-payment.
Property taxes went up, water and sewer went up, trash collection went up, everything went up for owners. And when you're not getting paid anything and you still have to provide all these kind of services and then provide new roofs, heating systems, maintenance, whatever.
Oh, yeah. And then they had to actually house the person somewhere else. So now they're paying someone else and not getting rent in.
So how did that come to be? So just so our people understand the process a little bit, remember, this is the situation where this is a 2-family house. The owner doesn't live in it. It's rented to 2 apartments worth of tenants. And the property basically had that one of the tenants called the city and complained about conditions.
Right. And so it became condemned given the fact that the roof was leaking.
Right.
Actually, the fire department came in because of the leak. They were concerned about electrical issues, so they shut power off to it, and then they reported that, and therefore it got brought in front of everyone to basically condemn the property for safety issues.
Now, what happens when a property is condemned? If you own a property, if you are house hacking, if you're a first-time owner of a property and you live in the first floor and you rent out the other two, your property gets condemned. Guess what? Everybody's out. So everybody has to relocate and can't live in the property.
And you need to relocate them, by the way.
Yeah. So that's going to fall on you, the owner of the property, to provide alternative housing. Again, state by state, laws can be different. And even when the laws are different, sometimes these things are just simply left to the judge supervising the case.
And when you're relocating people, if you can actually find a hotel, if you know it's a short-term fix, so you can do something pretty quickly, getting a little hotel with cooking facilities is a good way to go. But if you know this is going to be a longer-term thing, ideally try to find another apartment you can kind of short-term rent on a month-to-month basis.
Because you're looking, what are you doing? You're looking at shelling out $150 a night, probably.
I think the second floor was 300 and something.
Well, that's because there's 2 rooms worth of people. So the second floor, the owner had to relocate into a hotel, like we just described. But the second floor, because of the family composition, and there was an additional, maybe a boyfriend that's like not living there, but living there.
Exactly.
So they ended up having to give them 2 hotel rooms. So they're paying a total of about $350 a night to alternatively house just the second floor tenancy. Pretty crazy.
Yes.
You're gonna bleed real quick with that, and then you have to, and basically you have to do that until the city is able to and willing to lift the condemnation on the property. So the owner of this property, who couldn't afford to make the repairs on the property, or chose not to, we don't really know, right? But hasn't been getting paid by these folks, is now having to provide them with 2 nice hotel rooms for just the second floor, and the first floor, same kind of thing. And that has to continue until such time as the place has been made fit to move back into.
Exactly. So it has to get re-inspected by the city and made sure that it is A-okay that the tenants can move back in.
Yeah.
So let's just go over a little bit of the deal. So we actually, called these people. We got them on the phone, which right there is that's probably the hardest part, honestly.
Right.
Would you not say? Finding deals, but actually finding the owners, super hard.
Getting somebody to answer the phone or getting the right phone number for them is one of the bane of my existence. So if you guys have better ideas on how to do that, please drop them in the comments anywhere.
So we actually skip trace this person, and we're able to get that person on the phone, which
right there is a huge win.
Woo! And so we actually got them on the phone, kind of got a feel for their situation, and basically they kind of gave us a rough idea of their number, and we said, all right, well, we need to come out and check the property so that we can figure out an ARV, which is the after repair value. So we need to kind of figure out.
And while Matt's adjusting that, one of the questions that popped up, where's a good place to start looking at a rental property? We're describing one right here. This is the great method we use. We generated a list of tired landlords, so landlords that maybe are a little bit older, maybe looking to retire and cash out, or landlords that are dealing with non-payment of rent or maybe some bad tenant challenges, and they're either going to lose the property. There's no way they can get themselves out of the jam that they're currently in. So their best solution is for you to hopefully reach out to them and suggest that they liquidate the property. You'll take over all of their headaches that they don't want to deal with anymore. So that right there hopefully is a good answer to your question. Over on our YouTube live, for anybody else that's watching, we do take questions live on YouTube at 2 Guys Take on Real Estate. We're happy to do that.
Let me see that color. Let me know, guys. Or should I use this brighter color, probably?
Yeah. Yeah, you tell us. Can you see? Oof, I don't know.
How's that look? ARV. So that's the first thing we do. It seems maybe a dark.
Yeah. So anyway, an ARV is basically what you want to do is the after rehab value. So you want to figure out what a fixed up property similar to this in that general vicinity would be worth. And that's how you establish what your property, the one you're targeting, is going to be worth when it's all figured out and fixed up.
So yeah, exactly. So we had to go look at comps. So similar houses that have sold in generally the last 6 months that are of similar style. This is a very unique style. Yeah. At first, honestly, when I first glanced at it, I thought it was a flat roof. It is not. It's actually a low pitch of about a 4 pitch on it. So we figured out the ARV, and then we worked backwards from there. And so then we were, when I'm just looking on the outside of the property, you'll see, apologize. You'll see first off here, we've got mismatched siding. So that's something that's got to get addressed. We already know that the roof is leaking. So that's going to have to be looked at. These handrails, when we walk up the property, they're not even close to code.
Yeah, that was really bizarre to see that. That was wow.
You can't really see it good here, but the driveway, it's all pitted and dirt and
torn up.
So that's something that we're going to have to factor in for cost. And just some general, right here, they actually sided over brick. And there's actually some issues here with potential lead paint.
Sure.
So that's something obviously you want to address. You want your homes to be safe. And that's something that we factor in. This awning needs to be done. And this is just on the outside, by the way.
Yeah.
So we haven't even got inside yet.
Right. And some of this stuff may not seem, oh my gosh, too severe. But, we're talking about roof leaks. We're talking about significant issues to the property that need to be addressed. At the very least, to lift the condemnation to be able to get the tenants to move back in. So we are looking at this from a point of view of, if we were to take this property over, what's it going to cost us to get out of this jam that this owner is currently in? And then how do we come up with a number?
Exactly. And so this is why we kind of really go through and walk through the property with the owner. We'll kind of go, so you'll see another house. So we actually did, the gas meters were all brought outside. You'll notice here, though, there's actually 2 extra brackets. So interesting enough, we actually knew about this property, 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
At least, yeah.
Something like that. We were actually appointed a receiver on this property many years ago when it was a 4-family. So interesting enough, this was a 4-family. They converted into an odd layout of a 2-family.
Great comment on you.
So you can see here, they did upgrade the electrical system at some point. They actually removed the extra meters since it was a 4-family. So nothing, luckily it looks like the electrical is in pretty good working order. All right, this is the threshold entering in the property. So that's something that we were going to want to look at. It looks like there's like faux carpet.
The fake green grass carpeting.
Yeah.
Some rubber threshold. And then the metal bracket from like
siding
or
yeah. So, once again, there's no J channel here on the siding there. It's just kind of flopping there.
It's right here. Across the bottom. That's where they put it.
All right. So, just going to cut up into video. I'm going to go that. The windows, the good thing, windows are all vinyl windows, so we were happy about that. The doors were in decent shape, so nothing really crazy there. All the flooring really was broken, mismatched, so that's something you need to make sure all the flooring is intact. Has to be a good, cleanable, washable surface.
They got some mismatched vinyl, sticky tiles. They got nailed down.
I think this is a rolled linoleum.
Yep.
So looks like they've pieced it over time, which is just great.
Sticky tile over sticky tile.
Oh, look, there's my shoe.
Yep, that's shoe. There you go.
I don't really like this right here. The wiring, there is wired in smokes, which is great. So there's some pros and cons of this property. I'm just gonna kind of skip by.
I don't know what you're doing here.
So, I just
there you go.
So now we're inside the unit. They wired in the smoke detectors. For the most part, you can barely see it here, but there's a hole in the wall here. There's just some, little damages throughout the apartment. Nothing crazy. I'm just trying to, save you guys. So the big things here we've got. So here's one of the ceilings that's actually leaking. It's an old tin ceiling.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks because you basically have to rip the whole thing down.
Yep.
So I think factoring that cost in.
We actually showed some of this tin ceiling on our TikTok live in one of our other properties we were reviewing.
Really?
It's rare to see tin ceiling. It's actually, they were very common around here,
yes.
But it's rare to see them actually intact and holding up. They're almost always painted now too.
This is true. The bathroom is disgusting. So the bathroom has this crappy faux paneling. The floor is all buckled. When you're walking on it, you can feel that the subfloor is actually all wet and rotted.
Years of water damage.
And water damage, exactly. So that's going to need to be addressed. So once again, we're putting a scope of work together. That's the main thing, is you're putting a scope. And if you don't have the experience, I'd highly recommend bringing a contractor that you're familiar with, that you're friendly with, to come through and walk it with you to help give you an idea of these costs. Kevin and I do this, and we've done hundreds and hundreds of flips, so we have a better idea, and we know what our contractors are going to charge us in general.
Also, what's going to be a very expensive issue, and what's going to be a little bit more minor of an issue. Sometimes something will look very expensive, and oh my God, this is a huge problem to somebody else, and we might look at it and be like, oh, we dealt with the same thing last Tuesday. No sweat. We'll take it. Okay. Yep. Take your thing. Yep. So I want to go on through the pictures a little bit more, but I see a whole bunch of the comments coming in on YouTube, so I do want to address some of the comments that are on there. First of all, who knew the guy in the glasses was so jacked? Sorry, forgot his. That's Matt. He's the landlord ninja, and I'm not jacked, but he makes me look even less jacked by comparison, so it always hurts to have me on camera next to him. But the dude is the landlord ninja for a reason. We have a huge ninja gym in our office. We showcase it sometimes on our live. Thanks for checking it out. I'm 19 and not sure where to start. Man, this channel is for you, so I hope you stick around and I hope you continue watching our videos. We have so much here on YouTube as well as on our TikTok and Instagram that is designed to help people that are especially starting off on a right track. We wish we had done so many of the different things that we teach and talk about now when we were younger, and we wish we had access to this kind of knowledge. So I really hope you're not a stranger to our channel and you stick around. I want to keep moving on a little bit because we want to talk about this property some more and help you guys understand a little bit more about how this came about and really what we're going to be doing with it. So we talked about this, right? This property is a 2-family house. It has tenants that are both alternatively housed by the owner, and they're bleeding, crazy money by housing them there. $350 a night for just the second floor in a hotel or an alternative housing. And then, of course, you have the first floor. I think they have a hotel room as well. So really, realistically, the owners are burning through about $500 a day while this property is condemned. They're never going to get out from under it. They will lose this property. Meanwhile, the tenants, although they're probably enjoying some hotel room stays, are probably getting pretty sick of this hotel room situation. And that's not what they bargained for. They wanted to live where they wanted to live, and they wanted to go back home. So we were able to talk with the owner. We were able to coordinate and facilitate a deal where we took over the owner's headaches. And that's what this whole thing is about. That's what working what we called a tired landlords list is. We went and generated a list of landlords that maybe have court cases going on for non-payment, maybe are a little bit older, have equity in their home, landlords that aren't professional landlords, people that just have regular jobs and bought a few investment properties and now might want to just look at liquidating, getting rid of those things and letting somebody else who wants to take those headaches over and take those risks on. So because this is a risky property, it's condemned, it's occupied and condemned, which means that the second we buy it, now we're responsible for housing those people that are in hotel rooms. That means that's our $500 per day that we're bleeding and need to put an end to. So we have to have the ability to hit the ground running and get this property on track, get the condemnation lifted. Now, we're not going to end with just lifting the condemnation. Remember, the condemnation was because the roof had some leaks in it, and as a precaution, the fire department shut down the electrical for the property. We need to get that roof immediately replaced so that the electricity can stay restored and the tenants can return home. Now, as you were seeing in some of the other photos, there's plenty of other stuff that needs attention at the property. There's stuff in so many photos. So we talked about a lot of that. Now, we can do that kind of stuff while it's occupied. There's no reason we can't fix this hallway or entryway door while people are living there. We do not need to be spending $500 a day to alternatively house these people. So our battle plan is to run immediately, once we take over the property, have a contractor ready to get going, get that roof on track. I mean, look at this. I mean, the workmanship is just crazy here. This is the kind of stuff that mom and pop owners often do when they try to do their own work. 2 different rooms, 2 different types of flooring, and they don't meet. There's no threshold, 2 different levels. It's crazy. So we're going to make some modifications and improvements to the property to repair some of these issues as it's lived in. So the first step for us is to get this property back on track, get the condemnation lifted, get the tenants back into the units. We'll not be bleeding $500 a night anymore, and instead that money can go towards renovations. So what we did is we figured out what we thought the ARV of the property was, which I forget what it is now, but that was basically based on running comparables, figuring out once the place is all fixed up, what properties in that area would be worth if they're all fixed up, what they recently have maybe sold for. So maybe let's just say maybe that $200,000 is what a 2-family house in that area, all renovated and fixed up nice, would go for. And we look at this property and say, God, we've got a roof that needs to get done. We got to figure out how much work we need to do to this property. And maybe we figure, let me see that those tin ceilings again. Maybe we figure we have to drop $50,000 on this property to get it renovated and going again. Now, the roof's not going to be very expensive for us. Remember, we figure out our costs. We have a good idea of what we're going to pay. It's going to be a little bit different for you if you're looking to buy a property and you want to go with this kind of method. You want to figure these kind of things out ahead of time. So before you lock in a deal, you might want to have a contractor come out and give you some quotes. Might be an idea. And we figured maybe the renovation cost, we'll say, is $50,000 for this property. So if we say the ARV is $200,000, we take $50,000 off of that. That means if we bought it for $150,000, that would be our break-even number. And then so every dollar we back out of that is essentially profit in equity, probably, if we're going to hold onto the property. Now, you might, I don't know why this isn't changing. You might say, actually, this is a great picture right there. Oh, it's rebooting. If you could actually see the flooring in the kitchen was, again, very waterlogged and needing to be replaced. Again, waterlogged partly because of the misuse of the flooring by the tenants with just buckets and mops and putting a ton of moisture down on the floor constantly. Let me see if I can find it again here for you. Possibly. Bear with me. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it. Sorry, I'll come back to it later when Matt pops back in. But basically, the same principle still exists. So we back out the numbers. We're actually kind of through the slideshow anyway. We're going to back out the numbers. So from $200,000, you back out the $50,000 in rehab expenses, and then what you're essentially left with at that point is how much are you needing for room to be able to turn around and sell the property if you're looking to make this a wholesale deal, or if you're looking to keep the property, what amount of money in equity are you looking to make, or what kind of profit are you looking to make if you're turning a flip on this? So the great part of this is it's an amazing problem to have, right? You have so many things you can do with this property. Finding the deal itself is basically what we're talking about. So you found the deal. Now you can then decide, based on your negotiations with the owner, what you want to do with it, what kind of a property this is going to be for you. This might be something you just buy and hold and put in your rental portfolio. And then you're the landlord. You're dealing with being a landlord and renting the property out. Not a lot of people want to do that, especially these days. So you might say to yourself, you know what? It's just safer and better and faster if I wholesale the property, where you negotiate the price with the owner of the property and you get an amazing deal written down on a contract. You put a couple of bucks down, literally a couple of $100 out of your pocket to lock in the contract. And then you take the contract to somebody that flips houses or buys property to invest and renovate in. And you say to them, hey, I've got an amazing deal. I can sell you this house for, whatever price. And that price has some markup in it. So you can also turn around and flip that house. Now we took 200 as our ARV, 50 for the rehab. And then you're going to back out, what you want to make in terms of the flip, maybe another $50,000 is what you're looking to profit from the deal. So you know when you negotiate with the owner that you would be willing to pay as much as $100,000 for the house. So at $100,000 for the house, you're putting in 50, you're selling it for 200, you made yourself $50,000. That's on a flip scenario. But you have to factor in all those kind of ingredients. So the cost of dealing with the tenants, keeping them there, maybe paying them to relocate if you find that that's the better, faster way or less expensive way to resolve it. So a few different things you can do. But in our case here, we're thinking we're probably going to end up wholesaling this property, which we might want to call it wholetailing this property, because what we're going to do, we're going to put a new roof on it. We're going to take care of some of the more expensive issues that we can have done at a great price. So it's kind of a value add. And then we can turn around and sell the property to a flipper or to an investor that wants to buy and hold property. So the great thing is, I don't know if anybody has guessed at how much we might have paid for this thing, but we only paid $75,000 for this 2-family house. I mean, that's an amazing deal. Regardless, we know about the conditions of it. That's an amazing deal for this property. $75,000 for a 2-family house that needs, we'll say, $50,000 or so worth of work, and can be done pretty quickly. Now, the big variable here is we have tenants that are off-site, so the burn of $500 a day to keep them housed is something that's really concerning to us. So we pad that kind of a thing in, but we're thinking that we're going to acquire this property. We bought it at 75. We're dealing with getting the tenants relocated back into the property, so we won't have to have that burn by quickly doing the roof. Remember, wholetailing, we're going to do some of the work at the property to get the property closer to ARV. And then we can turn around and let the property go for a little bit more. So we'll say it costs us $20,000 to do this roof. We'll essentially budget for it being essentially a $30,000 upcharge for the roof to be done. So the roof will add $30,000 of value to our deal, even though it only costs us $20,000. So we're looking at buying it for 75, putting, we'll say, 25 into it, and at that point we'll be in this property for $100K, and we'll have the ability to maybe sell it for about 150, maybe 130. Bottom line is probably closer to 130. Bottom line is we can make ourselves $30,000 by finagling this deal. Not a lot of time spent necessarily. We're going to have a contractor do the roof. It's not like I'm going to be up on the roof with Matt hammering away in the sun. So we're going to have a contractor do the roof. We're going to work with the tenants to get them in as quickly as the roof is done. The roof will be done in just a couple of days, putting us at maybe about $100,000 involved in the property that we turn around and sell the property very quickly because it's, as everybody knows, an incredibly strong market. And we'll turn around and sell that property for a profit of about $30K after really just all we did was coordinate stuff and help this landlord who is going to drown in the problem that we're in, get out of the property, liquidate out of the property, and maybe cut their losses, maybe retire with the equity that they had in it already and use that towards relocating and moving and retiring. A lot of different reasons people might want to sell, but in this case here, you had quite the jam that they were in, so it made a lot more sense for them to do this. If the landlord had tried to keep the property, they might not have the $30,000 it would have cost them to put the roof on. They may not have had the ability to do it in a very, very quick span of time. So they would have bled $500 a day while the tenants were relocated into hotels. Oh, and Matt's back. So we're just finishing talking about how the landlord basically, and how we get to an ARV, but how the landlord basically had to have a motivation to sell by
pulling up other pictures.
No, it crashed. The landlord had a motivation to sell by having all these issues going on. Yep. They had a huge burn point, a bleed point of $500 a day, and we have the ability now. Say we bought it at the $75,000 price. Yep. We're going to put in about $25,000 worth of work, maybe a roof and some other small things. Correct. We're going to do it very quickly, get the tenants back in, so we're not bleeding the money anymore. Now we're in this property for $100,000. What do we do next with this property? I mean, there are a lot of different things we could do next.
Correct. So we could just basically go into a bank, refinance it, do a nice 80-20 BRRRR strategy, by the way.
Right. So basically, when you say refinance it, that means probably going to buy and hold. We're going to be the landlords and rent it. Yep. Right. Now, a lot of people don't really want to maybe do that. They maybe want a smaller risk, small headaches. Yep. Maybe they don't want to go down the same path the last guy went down.
True.
And so what they're going to do instead is maybe they'll wholesale the property or wholetail it.
Wholetail it. That's more likely what we call as a wholetail. You kind of fix it up, the basic stuff like that, like we're going to put a new roof on it, stuff like that, and then we can just slap it up on the market or reach out to a bunch of local investors that we actually have a big list of.
Yeah, sure.
And say, hey, we have this duplex. They like to buy and hold. They're looking to maybe 1031 money or whatever they're doing, and then we sell that to them, so say for $150,000.
Right.
And so therefore, we're pocketing nice cash. There's still quite a bit of equity because I think, what did you go over the ARV?
I went over what ARV is. I don't remember what our specific guess was what the ARV was.
Guess, yes. Guess, because that's what we do. Guesstimate.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what an ARV is.
So it's approximately 220. What we also do is we actually talk to a third-party appraiser and have them come out for about $250, do a drive-by appraisal, and that came out at $230.
Even better, right? So we're in the right ballpark. I said $200,000, but obviously if we're north of that, it's all extra money. The great thing is, and why we love doing appraisals on these, even if it's just a simple drive-by appraisal, is it gives you more credibility when you go to sell it to somebody.
Yes.
And somebody says, wow, that seems like a lot. Imagine if you're selling a car, everybody's more familiar with selling maybe vehicles. And you quote a price. I want $20,000 for my used car, and they and they end up saying, sorry about that, and they end up saying, oh my gosh, that's way too expensive. Where do you come up with that? And you say, well, Kelly Blue Book. It gives you some credibility behind it. So we'll actually provide an appraisal to the people that are interested in buying our wholesale or wholetail properties.
So basically, we're $230K is our ARV. We're going to put in basically, so we bought it for $75K purchase, $25K in rehab for us, just to get the tenants back in. We're going to have some holding costs, some closing costs, just say about another $5K there. So holding and closing. All right, so basically, we're going to be in it for $105.
Right.
which gives us a big spread for there. So then selling it to someone for let's just say 150, we're pocketing about 45,000 in cash. Now we're going to pay taxes on that. Be mindful of that. You will have to, unless you have other things like depreciation to offset that you will have to cash because that's going to be short-term cap gains.
Right.
But then the other person still has about $80,000 in equity that they have. So that gives them plenty of time to still do a BRRRR strategy because they'll be able to maybe do a lot of other low repairs. Maybe they, renegotiate rents on the tenant, and stuff like that. That's not something we're doing. We're trying to get in and out. So we're going to, put that money
our turnaround time is very, very short.
Correct. But they can still go back to a bank, and then they'll have no problem doing 80% LTV on this, and then they're going to walk away owning the property, having it rented, and still actually cash flowing quite well.
So that's essentially right. And there's, again, like he said, on the end buyer, there's a lot of different levers they can pull, like optimizing and readjusting the rents. Remember, people were paying whatever rent they were paying for the property in the less remodeled, non-renovated conditions that it was in. Obviously, once you do all that renovation, you invest a ton of work into the property's worth more.
Yep, exactly. So that's kind of this property. We are hoping that we should have everything situated. Right now, we have roofers on the roof, working on the roof as we speak, and I'm hoping to have it done maybe today, probably tomorrow, and then we'll hopefully have them in for this weekend.
I'll be calling them back up, getting them in before the weekend hits, hopefully, so that we don't have another $500 burn per day of hotel stay.
And what we've already been doing is we've already been starting to reach out to local investors, and we actually might have someone already interested.
Look at that. I mean, amazing. We're going to have all the problems cleaned up and solved in a nice little bow and 1 week's worth of time from when we got involved in this property. I mean, that's pretty fantastic stuff.
Exactly.
And it's something that the old owner, the landlord, they could not do. So they were going to watch this thing slowly slip away from them and nosedive. We were able to swoop in, solve their issue, cut their losses, make them very, very happy that this stuff is done.
Because they had no loan. Remember, they pocketed that money. That's $75K in their pocket.
Otherwise, that 75 was going to continue to go away from them. They would have lost all of it. I mean, 100%. So they're very, very happy. The tenants are very happy because they're moving back home. They're going to have a nice, stable, safe place to live once again.
Exactly.
They'll probably unhappy that they're going to have to start paying rent. I don't know, but that's what they bargained for.
Yep.
And then we're happy. We'll make some money. The new owner of the property is going to be very, very happy because they're going to make money on the deal and or have a new property in their portfolio. The city's happy. They're not going to have another complaint on their books, and the property's paying for its taxes again.
Exactly. I mean, and the city's really happy, and they're willing to work with us time and time again because we do this stuff. We find a lot of these type of properties, fix them up, either fully renovate them and rent them out ourselves, like one we're doing over on Chicopee Street, stuff like that, or they actually go to people that will actually do the right thing and have the means to take care of it. And that's the other thing is, some people don't have the means, and that's fine. I mean, we even had a long time ago, there was that, I can't remember the name of the street, but it was a 2-family house that we took on as a receiver. There was owners living on the first floor, and they had tenants that were just
Montmorency.
Yep, Montmorency. I knew it was an M. And basically, they couldn't. They didn't have the means to handle it. They didn't have the wherewithal to be able to handle tenants, and they almost lost the house. But we were able to actually help them save their house by temporarily working with them and the bank as a temporary receiver and help get the tenants out. The tenants are in a better situation. They don't have to worry about it, and then they actually kept the property with a refinance and stuff like that. So, I mean, the city was super happy that we've done these kind of things time and time again.
They made every mistake a small landlord, owner-occupied landlord could. We talk about house hacking on our TikTok and on our YouTube channel where we're broadcasting now. And so hello to all the live viewers as well as the people that are watching this on the restream of it. But we talk about house hacking all the time on our YouTube and we teach it. But we always tell people education is super important. So if you're going to house hack, that means all of a sudden you're going to basically be a landlord. You're going to need to know how to handle those kind of responsibilities.
So we have a few questions on the YouTube. Let's get to that. All right. So here we go. So this is from Earl. Is it better to do a partnership or go alone in an LLC for real estate?
Don't go with a partner, dude. This guy is the worst. You can have my partner.
So, I mean, obviously, everyone's situation is going to be different. I personally enjoy having a partner, especially because we're looking to scale the business.
He only says that on camera, folks. Don't listen to him.
But no, seriously, I think it's a good thing, especially if you're looking to scale, because each one of us has, things that we are skilled at that the other's not. So we complement each other.
Yep.
And if you're looking to just maybe buy one for family, maybe you don't need a partner.
No, but if you're looking to grow,
Yeah.
and don't find somebody that's going to be 100% clone of you and think everybody has to think and do things the same exact way. It's probably the worst thing you can do. You already have you. You don't need 10 of you.
Well, and maybe you don't have the money, but someone has the money and you have the skills or the knowledge of how to find
or the time.
Time. Exactly. Yep. So partnerships can be a great way. I do highly recommend looking into some kind of legal structure like an LLC.
Yeah.
Talk to a real estate specialized lawyer, and they can help guide you on that.
Yeah.
And maybe also a real estate CPA as to the best tax benefits for you.
That's right. Specialized people for different parts of your team are very important to have. You don't have to have these people on payroll. No. You just need to have great connections to them so you can contact them and they can work with you.
All right, Aaron. What's up, guys?
What's up,
Aaron? How's it going?
Yeah, what's up is we just acquired an amazing deal on a 2-family house for $75,000. We're going to crush it. We're going to make a good chunk of money in about hopefully a week's worth of time or so. And we wanted to show you guys how you literally can do this kind of thing.
All right. When you BRRRR, so this is Robert and Jennifer. Hello, Robert and Jennifer. I've seen you guys. What's up? When you BRRRR, do you subtract the down payment from the ARV? So that's part of your whole acquisition cost. So, I mean,
part of the buy for me.
Yeah. So just for simple numbers, let's just say it's $100,000 ARV. So that's your ARV.
But the ARV is the ARV.
Right.
You don't subtract anything from it. That's simply the rehab value of the property.
Exactly. Your purchase, whether it be, let's just say you put 10 down for a deposit, and then you bought it for total for 20. 20. The total purchase comes off when you're doing your BRRRR. It's $20K. So you're not, so that you will factor that in because that's your actual cost. So basically you'll actually look at purchasing the place for 20. All right. So you're going to kind of take that off. Then you're going to also figure out the rehab, any liens on the property, and closing and holding costs.
Right. Those all end up factoring into what you're going to be all in on the property for, making it a fully rehabbed, all done property.
Exactly. And so there's a typical rule that a lot of people follow as a guideline. It's called the 70% rule. So if you want to, we have a video on it, and we have some TikToks on it and stuff like that. But the 70% rule basically states you take your ARV, all right, so your after repair value, multiply it by 70%. So that would bring us down to, 70% of the ARV. So that's right there, brings you down to $70,000. And then you subtract. And this is what things people forget to do. You subtract your rehab, you subtract also lien amount and some closing costs. Often people forget to talk about lien amounts or closing costs. They just talk about the rehab.
What are some lien amounts people might be forgetting?
So taxes, code enforcement,
municipal
citations,
stuff.
municipal bills.
The guy didn't mow the lawn before you.
Water bills.
Water bills. He's got a ton of fines for not mowing his lawn timely.
Exactly.
Whatever, unregistered vehicle.
Maybe
fees.
he has a mechanical lien against it that you have to pay off.
Yep, exactly.
So these things you need to factor in. Yep. So you subtract, $10K, $10K, right? So now that brings you down to $50,000. Let's just say off that. That is your top dollar you should pay for this property.
Right.
All right. So don't forget. So you want your liens, your rehab, all that kind of stuff. And you pay no more than that. Right. That's what the 70% rule. Once again, it's a guideline. Every property is a little different. You also want to look at, obviously a $1 million property has more holding costs than a $100,000 property, and also often takes longer to sell. So you want to look at really what the absorption rate of that in that area that you're in, and how long you can factor in your holding costs. That's something I think, once again, a lot of people forget.
And when you're negotiating with the owner to buy the property, $50,000 is your max price. It doesn't mean that's what you should be offering for the property. You can offer $30,000 and start working your way up.
Exactly. You're not going to work back down. If you offer $50,000 and then you try to work them back down,
that's not how you negotiate.
That's not just a good negotiation strategy. This is why he does the negotiations and not me.
He said, okay, I was multiplying 80%. Thank you, guys. Hey, happy to be here. Please stick around our channel, like and subscribe. If you guys are watching on YouTube Live right now, or if you're watching on a restream, thanks for coming by our channel, by the way. Please hit that thumbs up button, give us a like, and consider subscribing and sharing with a friend.
Exactly. So if you have any other questions over here on YouTube, we can take them now. Otherwise,
yeah, I think we're going to start working on wrapping it up and moving on to the next big thing in our day today.
Yep, we actually. So what we are doing today is we actually found a deal on the MLS. Now we talk about
Wow. Right? How does that happen?
Exactly. It doesn't happen, right?
No, not really.
Still can't. That's what I hear every time.
I mean,
no one, you can't buy stuff.
Yeah, here we are.
Exactly. So once again, you're looking for those value adds. So in this situation, it seems that this agent just doesn't know what they have. And so there's potential that we're going to be able to, we have a little bit more knowledge.
Let's hope they're not watching live, Matt. Let's just hope.
Let's hope not. But yeah, so we have a 3 o'clock that we're going to be getting to hopefully buy this 7-unit building.
All right. Well, we'll keep your fingers crossed. We'll be back with some updates on our channel. So if you're interested in knowing more about how that turns out, drop a comment in the chat, and we'll be sure to give you a response back with today's results.
Awesome. Well, guys, I really appreciate you guys joining us. And if you're rewatching this, thanks for watching this as well.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here. TikTok people, Instagram people, we have an amazing YouTube channel that we've been doing live right now on and answering questions and comments. So please find us. Same name it is on the other social media. It's Two Guys Take on Real Estate.
Oh, one last question.
Oh, geez. Oh, my gosh. He got it in with the wire.
Woo!
About to leap.
Wow.
So close, guys.
How to transfer a property in your name into an LLC.
Just cross it out. Just write it in.
That's what this guy does.
No, it's not.
So no, you work with a lawyer. They're going to have to do something with the registry of deeds, and they'll actually process new paperwork to actually assign that over or quick claim it over to that new name. So basically, work with your real estate lawyer.
Yeah, part of having a great team, building a great team, is to have specialized attorneys for each different thing.
Exactly. Awesome, guys. Laugh my ass off. Awesome. Well, thanks, everyone.
We appreciate it, guys.
And we'll see you again next week.